Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, and especially Rich, because this is an industrial engineering topic called Six Sigma. In 1999, Fortune magazine named Jack Welch, considered the father of Six Sigma and the CEO of General Electric, manager of the century. During his 20 years as tenure as CEO at GE, Welch has been credited in changing the corporation around and inflating the company's market value from $12 billion in 1981 to approximately $280 billion in 2001. Originally developed by Motorola in the 1990s, Six Sigma is considered one of the key factors for Jack Welch and GE's success. If you want to learn more about Six Sigma, you could go to the American Society of Quality's Six Sigma 2-day conference, which would run you a smooth $1,145. Or you could try the Worldwide Conventions and Business Forums Six Sigma and Healthcare week-long conference, that's only about $3,000. Or the International Quality and Productivity Center's 4-day, 8th annual 2007 Six Sigma Summit, and you'd pay a tad over $5,000. But today, lucky for you, you get a sneak peek for free. So what is Six Sigma? The word sigma is a Greek word which is used for a statistical term that measures how far a process deviates from perfection. Essentially, Six Sigma is a methodology for process improvement, for making a process better. Over the past 20 years, it's mainly been used in the manufacturing environment, but it can also be used for service processes or even processes within this very Toastmasters meeting. Six Sigma is also a measurement system. The higher the number, the better. Six Sigma technically means, in statistical terms, and Rich, you might know this, it's that out of 1 million iterations through the process, or 1 million widgets, or 1 million bolts, only 3 of those bolts are defective. That's a really good quality. So basically it tells you how good your process is. And how do you know how good your process is? It's by the number of defects produced. So what's a defect? A defect can be a part, it can be a unit, it could be one iteration through the process is not working, essentially. If an airplane, for example, where I work at Boeing, if we rolled an airplane out, gave it to Southwest Airlines and said, hey, here's your airplane, sorry we forgot the wing. That's a defect. It would fly in circles. If a widget is too large per some engineering spec, if a processing phone bill for the time it takes to process a bill and then send a bill out to the customer at Singular Wireless, if that takes too long, then that could also be a defect. Or even the videographer role in this meeting is also a process, which can also have defects. So based on that process, the requirements would be, one, that the videographer works and the equipment's all set up on time by 5:30 p.m. before the meeting starts. So what is Six Sigma? Specifically, Six Sigma can be broken down into 5 stages: define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. So I'll use the videographer process, or the process of setting up the videographer role, as kind of my example as I walk through these steps. I use this process because I find it rather complicated to go through all those little arrows and everything, putting that together, because I know 2 weeks ago I created a defect in not getting it done by 5:30. So define. If we were to define this process, we would first all kind of sit down and we would say, okay, what's the definition of this process? We would all talk about it and we'd all say, okay, what are the inputs or what are the outputs of this process? Then we would go to the measure phase. From there, we would maybe do a time study on the process. We would watch Dick set up all the equipment, or we'd watch the next person, and we'd watch maybe over 30 meetings. Each meeting can be a unit. And then we'd do some statistical analysis, and we would find that we're really only at 1 sigma versus 6 sigma, because there's defects that happen more than 6 sigma would warrant. 6 sigma means that out of 1 million times, you can only produce a defect 3 times. And since 2 weeks ago I already produced 1 defect, that means that we only have 2 left for the next 1 million meetings. From there, we would use that data and we'd analyze and we'd try to find out why that process is producing defects. After analyze, we would go into the improve phase, and we would come up with a new process, and we'd implement it and try it out. From there, we would go into the control phase, in which case we would basically monitor that process and see if it's better than the old process. So these are the fundamentals of Six Sigma. By the year of 2000, using this model, GE has achieved dominance or near dominance in dozens of markets across the globe. It was #1 in the world in industrial motors, medical systems, plastics, financial services, transport, power generation, information systems, and aircraft engines. As Jack Welch said in regards to any process, whether it be manufacturing or whether it be service industry or whether it be processes within this meeting, like that complicated video system right there. In an increasingly competitive global economy, always look for process improvement and always change before you have to. Mr. Chestnut.